Okay, welcome everyone, Mark Sargent again, and it is time to switch to another level and level up the complexity of UV mapping. So now this is the mushroom, and this is our upcoming task to unwrap. So I will select it, Alt Q, and isolate. And because we don't need the graphite ribbon now, I will turn that off as well. Okay, so before anything crazy happens, just quickly add a UV unwrap to check what we have. So unwrap UVW, and okay, I see we have a couple things here and there, and open up the editor, open UV editor. Oh, right. So it's not that hopeless. Actually, it's a fairly good start for such an item. We have a couple UVs that we might be able to recycle, so we don't have to start everything from the ground. And okay, so let me first open up the checker pattern. Okay, and see what we have. Okay, it is sure that we have a mess around here at the top. And if you see these triangles, if you see the all green outer edges, that indicates we have some kind of a saw blade here, that all these are just chopped up, so we have to weld them together. Ideally the map will be projected from the top, so we will use a quite different type of a layout, not like as a cylindrical layout. So at this case we have a cylindrical layout for the head. Here, because we don't see the numbers, that is dead sure that we have to take care of this bottom part. And one of the best areas of this model regarding the UVs is the shaft. So we have this stem, it's quite readable, there's no flipping, there's not much distortion, so that will be just fine. Okay, now to move on, we need to create a couple IDs. So it's much easier to work with IDs instead of always selecting a polygon. Now check what we have already, because there's a chance we have some kind of an ID layout already. I've selected only one polygon, and we have a material ID section in the UV map, and I don't want to set ID, I just want to check what the ID is. And right beside the select ID, this indicator tells us that okay, that's ID 3 that I've just picked. So if I hit on select ID, that's super cool. Everything that's a polygon and part of the shaft it's clear that everything is ID 3. So I will just select it, move it away. I will take care of this a little bit later on. And now select a polygon in the cap and select ID. Okay, this is nice. The top part of the mushroom is mostly number 2, but I want to include these as well. So this undertone will also belong to ID 2. So I will, to solve this problem, I have a part of the selection, and I will grow the selection by modifying it. So this grow selection, and another one, and take a look at the IDs now. Okay, now ID is not indicated. The reason is because we have ID here, that's ID 2, and ID here, that's ID 1. So when I have a mix of selections, like in this situation, it simply cannot tell which one is the ID because it's mixed. So I will select this one and say, okay, I want to set the ID now, and remembering that it was ID 2, so I will set it to 2 and hit, and super. So we have 3 IDs, ID 2 for the cap, ID 1 for the bottom, and and ID 3 for the shaft. Now I know, but it's always worth to check if you have any polygons hidden. So in this case, the shaft is a cavity, so it's a just a cylinder without a top and a bottom, so it makes no problem. But uh, but in many cases you have hidden polygons. All right, now the shaft is already quite cool at first sight. It was, and now I will select ID2 and use a quick planar map to get a snapshot. I call it snapshot. It's not really that, but because of the purpose that it automatically generates an optimal projection, and if you just hit, it's kind of a hit and run. So you hit this one, and now you have a better information about this. But as you see, it's absolutely not perfect because it simply flipped the letters. So what we have to do is going up here and mirror. Alright, now the projection is fine. So projection is coming from the top instead of coming from the bottom. Okay, it's it is there. The bottom polygons are there, but instead of being some kind of a circular shape, they are just in edge because the projection is somewhere from the side. So I will select all these polygons from the bottom, and again a snapshot, a quick snapshot. And in this case, the projection, the direction of the projection is fine because it projects from bottom to top, and all the letters are readable. Of course, we have a scale mismatch, so it's much closer to the stem, but compared to the top of the cap, it's just too dense. But I will leave it anyway for now and move on forward. So we have three polygon IDs. We have three separated items. We don't want to use the quick planar map here on the shaft because it's already quite nice. And I'm afraid if I'm using the shaft, what will happen? It will just simply create something that's not really matching. Now, just a quick explanation. So why we have this type of a kind of a rectangle shape here? Because it is a cylindrical map. So just let me quickly demonstrate this one. Just a moment. So because we have this shaft is ideally using a cylindrical map. Now cylindrical maps are actually wrapped rectangles, and at the sewing edge this well, green one is highlighting, so this green set of edges highlighting. Now cylindrical map, and as you see we have this large cylindrical map. It's way too large, so I will hit on fit. Now it fit to the selected, and as you see we have yellow and green edges, only one green edge. Green shows the opening of this cylinder. So because you can rotate it, so I will switch to rotation mode and start rotating this around. As you see, it constantly updates in the editor and also in this viewport. Now uh, it actually just makes a little bit more complicated than the original, because after that you always have to weld these edges. It takes some time, but anyway, because we don't need it now, I will just turn it off and undo, because the original layout was much better. So just for the understanding. Alright, now how to move forward. So first of all, we need to relax here and there. So I will select this guy and use relax with a setting. So start relax, and okay, it's pretty nice. If you are disturbed by this whole red color, you can turn off the highlight of selected polygons, so this red function can be turned off. If you press function key 2, it will hide away. but be careful because it's right now all these edges are looking like you're selecting edges, but you are not selecting. You are in polygon mode still. So usually I like to press it for checking what I have selected and check if the texture is good or not, and then turn it back on. Okay, now relax is fine, so I will go in and apply it and use it. The only issue is a couple undertones here and there. So when you see some kind of a mess like this one, it's usually an indicator of there's some kind of a overlaps. As you see, we have a tiny overlap here, and we just want to remove it. Okay, not a big deal. You can actually do it manually. Okay, just let me check it. Right. If you're not sure where to move one or two vertices, just select them and try to move them. And usually it gives you, okay, that's not the right point. So I have, oh, okay, I have to zoom in and select this one. Alright, no, it's quite nice, it's fine. And as you see, there is not much distortion. The letters are sized evenly. Okay, that's fine. Now, the next area is again in the polygons. Probably it's the bottom part. Okay, yeah. So I'll select this one, and the same relax will be applied, but from now, for this time, I will use the relax from the tools menu. It's absolutely the same, and turn it off. Okay, the reason for using this is because we have an inside edge here. We have an inside edge here, and just let me undo it quickly. And as you see, this inside edge is quite small, but once you add relax, here's a couple distorted polygons are here. I will add relax, and relax helps to clean it up. Okay, it's not updating, but it will. Okay, now it's updating. So here we go. All right, before we are moving on to the top, just let me show it quickly. Something there's a selection problem. As you see in the subobject level, we don't have vertex, edge, a polygon, and elements. We don't have elements, and but in selection, it is much easier if you have a kind of an element selection. Now, when you are selecting an area, it's quite easy to move them accidentally by accident. So if you turn off this element mode, it is a kind of a mode, and this one is working for the vertices, for the edges, and everything. So it's kind of a multiplier of selection. So now if you click on any patch or any cluster, because these are called clusters in UV editing, now you can easily select them and move them around. Okay, we will at the end we will fit these into this work area, but right now we don't care about that one. Okay, now here comes the tough part. The reason is we have undertones. So if you try to project this texture, this UV map from the top, it gives this result. But if you turn it to the bottom, you have overlaps. So this GH, for example, is showing at the same manner at the bottom, and it's actually completely mirroring. So this is not a nice visual result. So what we want to do, we want to make sure that the relax or the pelt map can really stretch this guy out. Now the problem is if you don't have a split edge, if you don't have an opening seam, this palette map simply cannot do the job. So just take a look what we have here now. So I will click on a palette map. It's asking for paletting, right, start palette, and voila. Here is our issue. The issue is our inside edge, this green edge that's running inside at the bottom area of the mushroom cap, is simply too short. And we have an outer edge here at the larger diameter, and it's simply we cannot stretch it anymore. It reached the limit of stretching because of the length of the edges. So what we have to cut it up open, and then we can unfold the entire object without a problem. Okay, now I will just go and cancel it because it's better if we keep it as it is now. And let me introduce you to the seams. So edit seams will be turned on, and I will switch to an Alt X mode because it's easier if you have something, an error shows up. It's much better um, to troubleshoot. Okay, then I will start this from the top. So I will open up this entire set of edge. Just clicking manually one by one. Now this is the most tedious way, but at least I can be sure that everything is fine. And you have to be careful to not select any behind edges, and do not drag a window like this because it's everything. It will be select everything. Now if you have too many selections, you can use the Alt key. So Alt is always the substructure, so you can hold down Alt, create a window, drag the window, and now everything is removed from the selection. Okay, if you press Ctrl A, okay, this just shows the polygons, right? So I will leave it as it is, and actually I don't need all that selection, so I just need this one. Right, now turning off the seams because we have the seams ready, selecting the polygons, we want to pelt, and now calling the pelt, and the situation will be quite a difference. So I'll start the pelting, and as you see, it spreads the item a way different manner. But because we have this kind of an opening area, now it can stretch open the cap of this mushroom. So this was just the first step. So start pelt was done, but we still have to add relax, and the relax will refine the result. Okay, so I'll commit this one because it's just fine, and manually check if we have an overlap or not. Okay, just a quick visual check. This is a quite thin edge at connection between the top and bottom. Alright, this is pretty fine. Now here comes the next part. Of course you can select the cluster. Don't forget we have select by element turned on. So we have the cluster selected, and we can move it along and rotate it, make it fit. So that's one option, but we have a way faster option if we want to make sure that everything is fitting inside this work area, and also all the size are matched. So to do that automatically, we have a orange element section, and a rescale is turned on. So we can actually select all these items and just hit on pack custom, and this packing will give us the result. And this is quite a fun, as you see. I like to give some distance and add some room for the guys, so I will just use the control, scale it down so the freeform mode is turned on, and I just want to make sure that I have some more free space. I don't want to overlap anything, because if we are interested in manual painting, that can give us it could be a good benefit. Alright, now so there's the mushroom, there's the shaft of the mushroom, and I'm turning off the background. So there's the shaft of the mushroom, there is the bottom part, and there's the top cap part. I want to make sure that we are in work area, so we're staying within securely. Alright, that's fine. Now, in the standard manner, you can export it with the tools render UV template, and you can render the UV template and send it to Photoshop. That's option one. But we will use a different method, and that is called viewport canvas. And the next video will be about the viewport canvas painting method for this mushroom. So thank you for now. See you next time.